Hey, Paul Mack here. I've got another question. This one comes from someone named Squirrel, Squirrl. I've shot a lot of them, I've eaten a lot of them, but I've never had one ask me a question. Squirrel says, just love your pigs. Are they American Guinea Hogs? Well, yes, Squirrel. For the most part, most of the hogs that you see on many of my videos are American Guinea Hogs. I do have some crosses here and there, and am working on crossing American Guinea Hogs with some other breeds, kind of experimentation, scientific experimentation that I'm doing, and at some point I'll share more of that with you later. Some of you may be asking, well, how does the American Guinea Hog compare with the more common breeds of swine? Well, I'll tell you, the American Guinea Hog is sort of a throwback. If you look them up online and do a little research on the breed itself, you find that it's not really clear the exact origins. What hog was crossed with this one to arrive at the American Guinea Hog, which actually was pretty much developed in America. That's why they call it the American Guinea Hog. The Guinea name, there's differing opinions on how that particular name came about. But like I said, they're sort of a throwback hog. I used to see illustrations of hogs in children's books or in older publications, antique books and so forth on farm animals. I used to look at the illustrations people would draw, and I thought, well, they're not doing a very good job drawing a hog. Hogs don't look like that. And then after becoming more acquainted with the American Guinea Hog breed, I started realizing, hey, that's what they, sort of the shape that they used to be drawing. It's a more of a rectangular shape. They have the flatter back, and more modern hog breeds have that pear-shaped, arched back to them, and are a little more, I guess, athletic. Maybe legs sometimes are a little bit longer. It depends on the breed. Back in the old days, the importance of hogs was more toward lard breeds that had more fat content. The modern commercial breeds of hogs, they've been bred in recent decades to grow larger and to have less fat. In other words, lean bodies, less fat, so that when you have a strip of bacon, you see more of the red than you see of maybe a few strips of the white. Well, the bacon produced by some of the older lard breeds, you see small strips of red and larger pieces of white, larger amounts of fat. And as I said, they're a lard breed, and that used to be important both for lard for cooking. I mean, that's really the only oil or grease that you had to cook. Everything was fried, in the South, still is for the most part. And so lard was a very important ingredient. And also, lard was essential in soap making, which used to be everybody made their own soap. To go to the store and buy soap is relatively new innovation, if it's within the last 100 years, because about 100 years ago, or maybe more, and of course the South is different. I even remember my own grandmother, Nanny, we called her. I remember her making soap just with a old iron wash pot there in the backyard, and pouring that soap out on a wide tray, almost like a cookie sheet, and letting it cool, and then cutting it up for her own use, lye soap. And so it was important, it was more important the further back in time you go, that the hogs produce a great amount of lard. And again, that's been sort of bred out of modern hogs, because commercially they want that lean hog growing quickly and producing less fat and more lean meat. So the American Guinea Hog, a throwback to those days, and soap making and lard for cooking. I mean, the best pies, if you're talking about a fried pie or any pie, the best pie crust is going to be a pie crust made with lard. There's just no two ways about it. And so these days on the modern homestead, that's becoming important again, that soap making. A lot of people are getting into soap making, sometimes with newer resources, newer materials, and scented soaps and things like that. Also the cooking, using lard for cooking, where, you know, at some point everything's going to be bad for you according to the conventional wisdom. But just like with everything, moderation is the key. You know, we talk about pros and cons, you know, pluses and minuses, good points and not so great points about certain things. Well, with the American Guinea Hog, the same is true. The breed has its advantages and its disadvantages. Probably the main disadvantage that I recognize is that the hog breed itself tops out at about 300 pounds, maybe for the boars, maybe slightly less for the females, but they top out at about 300 pounds, and when they reach that size, they kind of stop growing. With the more modern breeds, I know they stop growing at some point, but man, I've seen some old hogs of modern breeds, and they can be 500 pounds. It almost seems like an alligator, or crocodile. They never stop growing. But the American Guinea Hog tops out about 300 pounds, which can be, you know, a disadvantage. Of course, it's a lot easier to hoist up a 300-pound hog than a 500-pound hog when you're butchering in the dead of winter. Another disadvantage is it takes them approximately 2 years to reach that top weight of 300 pounds. More modern hog breeds grow very, very quickly. In fact, they can reach good butchering sizes of 200, maybe 250 pounds well within a year. So you don't have as much time put in them, you don't have as much feed, therefore money that you've put into getting a hog that big. Those are the two main disadvantages to the guinea hog. But I feel like their advantages seem to outweigh those negatives, at least as far as my farm is concerned, because one of the main advantages, one of my favorite advantages to the American Guinea Hog is its ability to graze growing grass, plants. It's almost as if they are as big a grazer as maybe some of the ruminant animals like cows or sheep and so forth. But most all hog breeds will eat grass or hay, nibble at it anyway. But it seems as though if given their choice, the American Guinea Hog will graze before it starts rooting and turning up the ground and looking for grubs and roots and so forth. The modern hog will tend to root before it grazes. It seems that way anyway in my own experience. But the American Guinea Hog, I have witnessed. In fact, when I first acquired my guinea hogs, I also acquired another breed along with them, a little gilt that I had, along with a couple of female guinea hogs and a boar, I think. And I had them all out on the same. They were running in a large area, a pastured area, and had access to plenty of grass through that grazing season. And I noticed that without too much, a lot of input from me at that particular time with bought feeds, supplemental feed or whatever, the guinea hogs didn't suffer a bit. I mean, they were plump. They were actually fattening just on that pasture grass. And the hog, I think it was a mulefoot, the hog that I had running with them was, not looking quite. She wasn't like emaciated or anything, but she just didn't have the plumpness that they had, and that was just on grass. So it was obvious to me, or it seemed logical to conclude that those American Guinea Hogs can do very well on just open pasture, which is a big plus for the small farmer, the modern homesteader. And of course, the other advantage that I just mentioned is the fat content is so large that it's great for homemade soap making enterprises and obviously for cooking. for the lard that goes into cooking. Now here's another question from a person called Sun Honey Sage. They ask, would you suggest guinea hogs to someone who is looking to homestead on small acreage, or would you suggest sticking to feeder pigs? And I assume they mean just the normal, more common breeds of hogs. If your homestead or your small farm has enough grazing room, and by that even, just even half an acre that you could devote to hogs, or at least share with your milk cow or whatever else you've got going. If you have at least a half an acre, I'd say that would be a very good option, is to consider the American Guinea Hogs. It could even be, depending on how you work it and how your space is arranged, it could even be that you might enjoy or benefit from actually having breeders, a breeder pair, a boar and a sow, and raising your own pigs. A lot of new homesteaders, when they get into the farming, after getting the chickens and after having the garden established, one of the things they often think about, one of the next things, is hogs. Because a lot of people like pork. I certainly do. Don't get between me and a barbecue ribs. And so when you think about raising an animal, you think about, well, I need a male and a female. Nature takes its course, and I can be self-sufficient in continuing a continuous chain of having that pork come in right on the farm. But you got to think about, you're feeding a large adult male hog and a large adult female hog throughout the year just to gain a continuous supply of pork, and that's an expense to feed two mouths that you aren't actually going to eat. So the other option, a lot of the times, is just to buy feeder pigs, where you would buy 1, 2, or however many you wanted to butcher within 8 months to 12 months later. And all your time, all your scrap food from the kitchen, any corn or feed that you buy goes into raising those feeder hogs up. They grow very quickly. If it's a modern breed, you butcher it, it's in the freezer, you're done. You're not feeding breeder pair all year round. A system for me that works with rotating them, intensively grazing hogs on not even a large area using electric fence. And I've got a little system where I can supply that continuous pork, because the problem is people get a breeder pair. They have one litter can be anywhere from 8 to more pigs, and then all of a sudden 8 months later you have not only 8 large hogs, but the 2 breeders that you're trying to feed, and then to butcher 8 hogs at once, that's far more meat than you could possibly eat before it goes bad in the freezer or however you end up keeping it. Watch my video on raising hogs on the modern homestead, and I have ideas around that might help you immensely. That'll be a link in the description below this video. Getting back to Sun Honey Sage's question, if you only want to raise a breeder or 2 for that amount of pork in a year, and you want to do a more common breed, it might be best to just buy a couple of feeder pigs in the spring, raise them up, butcher them, be done with it. Next spring, do the same thing again. If you have a smaller area, if you have, as I said, a larger area to devote to the grass, the pasture, then getting a breeder pair and breeding them may be a feasible option for you, especially if you're into the soap making and the cooking and so forth like that. Again, for more information on the way I raise hogs on my homestead, I'm going to link some other hog videos that I've done in the description box. One of them on how to train pigs to an electric fence, which is very, very important, because if you fail at containing them, you're going to not only be frustrated yourself, but you're going to frustrate every one of your neighbors within a short distance of you. So it's very important to train them early and to train them well, and once learned, you can manage those pigs who become hogs. You can manage them and rotate them through and actually improve your land rather than them rooting up one section, destroying it, and it becoming just a mud pit or a hard pan mud pit or a swimming pool. You don't want that kind of swimming pool, I would say. So if you would like to add to this discussion on American Guinea Hogs, maybe you've tried them, maybe you liked them, maybe you hated them, maybe they weren't for you, then join the discussion and leave your comments in the comment section below. If you have a question about American Guinea Hogs, or if you have any question about any farm-related topic, just leave it in the comment section below. I love seeing your comments, reading your comments, and I try to respond to as many as possible. And if you have a good question, we'll try and answer it on an upcoming episode of the Farmhand's Companion Q&A. I'm Paul Mack. Until next time, I'll talk at you later. 99 Cacharo. For me, hogs are pets, just like a dog or a cat. Well, I agree completely, 99 Cacharo. They are just like pets. The only difference is they taste delicious. Zalo Shrybalov, 9049. I'm still on the fence about adding a hog. I already got my hands full with 3 cattle and 7 goats. Yeah, I got you on that, but you'd have your hands full with 1 goat and no cattle.